Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan. I am coming to you live from Sprague Field in Wellesley, Massachusetts. Here to bring you live coverage of today's high school varsity baseball contest between the hosting Wellesley High School Raiders and the visiting Brookline High Warriors. Well, it may not be the most ideal day for baseball. The sun is not shining. The temperature is not warm or comfortable. The wind is gusting. But this is New England. We have to work with the weather we are given, or else nothing's going to work. And so here we are, ready to play some baseball. Brookline coming off a 4-1 loss in their season opener at home yesterday against Newton South. Final score 4-1. Brookline managed to scratch out a run and actually take a brief 1-0 lead despite being held hitless for the entirety of the game. But ultimately, despite some hardy pitching efforts from James Dialchin-Derrickson and Owen Hoffman, ultimately Brookline could not maintain the lead, came away with the loss. They're hoping for a better result today as the home team Raiders getting ready to take the field. It is Brookline against Wellesley. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan here at Sprague Field, and you are watching Brookline High Baseball.
Oh my gosh, did he catch that? Ryan Kravitz with the acrobatics out in center.
Swing and a miss! Dialchin-Derrickson gets out of the jam!
He makes contact. This is into the outfield. Oh, it was a late takeoff, but it skipped past the center fielder. Dr. Off rounding third. Here he comes. Brookline wins!
All right, the Wellesley Raiders have taken the field. Their starting pitcher, number 21, Gopal on the mound. As Brookline getting ready to send their first batters up to the plate. For Brookline, the batting order today, leading off, the second baseman, number 5, Keenan Sawada. Batting second, the center fielder, number 20, Harrison Siegel. Batting third, the shortstop, number 7, James Dialchin-Derrickson. Batting cleanup, the pitcher, number 12, Connor Jernigan. Batting fifth, the left fielder, number 3, Ryan Kravitz. Batting sixth, the right fielder, number 9, Nico Hart. Batting seventh, the first baseman, number 14, Avery Melton. Batting eighth, the third baseman, number 11, Nate Kessler. And batting ninth, the catcher, number 8, Ben Doktoroff. I am in the midst of writing down the roster for Wellesley, so I'll probably have that between innings. Got that last minute. Shout out to Adam Doktoroff for tracking down the lineup for me, as that was a little bit of a last-minute operation. So the last time these two teams faced off here at Sprague, Brookline pulled out a big win against Wellesley. And I remember that distinctly because I remember how frustrated I was that I wasn't able to cover that game. because my laptop got smashed right out here at Sprague. I was filming on the other side of the field, over on the third base side, and, well, there's a concrete walkway there, and there was this big gust of wind while I was away from my equipment trying to get a roster. And so I was unable to cover that game, but I'm here for this one and couldn't be happier. Couldn't be more excited to be back covering Brookline baseball. I don't care how bad the weather is. I'm happy to be out here. I hope you guys are happy to be tuning in. Stepping into the box for Brookline. Oops, I got the wrong one. Leading off, the second baseman, number 5, Keenan Sawada. As you can see at the bottom of your screen, I've got the player's stats from last year. I arranged them slightly incorrectly because they're usually supposed to have a black background, but oh well, beginning of the season jitters, I guess. Gopal on the hill. First pitch of the game. In there for strike one. Sawada against Newton South yesterday. He finished 0 for 3. Had 4 plate appearances, but had one on a sacrifice bunt as he takes that one inside for ball 1. Got some activity going in the live chat already from Kim Chung-sik. Welcome back, Jesse. Let's go Warriors. And from Sina Doctoroff, so great to hear your voice, Jesse. Thank you so much for all the kind words, everybody. I'm so happy to be back. Good contact by Sawada. That's going to go up the middle. Brookline has their first base hit of 2023. Boy, if that doesn't feel great to start the game. You know, you get no hit your first game of the year, end up losing a close matchup. First batter of your second game, and he gets a single up the middle. Now at the plate, the center fielder, number 20, Harrison Siegel, as he takes ball 1. Siegel, as you can see from the stats down at the bottom of your screen, had a fantastic statistical season. Led Brookline in batting average, on base, and slugging, and doubles, I believe, as he takes a low strike one on that one, pulling back from the bunt attempt. Runner on first. Nobody out here in the top of the first. Brookline trying to make some early noise. Siegel facing the 1-1 count. That pitch is in there for strike 2. Siegel had an interesting day against Newton South. 0 for 1 with a walk and 2 hit-by pitches and 1 stolen base. And are you kidding me? 3 hit-by pitches in 5 plate appearances. That is the weirdest thing. You know, some guys are just a magnet for the ball. And I guess that is the case for Siegel, as he has now been hit by a pitch on 60% of his plate appearances so far this season. But hey, regardless of how they got a runner on base, they got a second runner on base. Runners at first and second with nobody out. Up comes the shortstop, number 7, James Dialchand Erickson. Dialchand Erickson showing bunt. Pulls it back and takes strike 1. You can see Dialchand Erickson's hitting stats from last year. Maybe not the strongest numbers, but he did show some potential to have some pop in his bat. It looks like they're setting him up for a sac bunt, which you can understand given the situation, but He lays that one down, and it's foul, and that's going to be strike 2. So the bunt is now off the table. And we're going to see what happens as he's, gonna have to go for a full swing now. He does have some pop in his bat when he's able to get bat on ball. So we'll see what happens here. 0-2 the count to Dialchin Eriksson. And he calls time. Keenan Sawada at second. Harrison Siegel at first. No outs here in the top of the first. And that one misses just outside, ball 1. And that pitch inside, ball 2. Dialchin Eriksson's showing some patience here these last couple of pitches. 2-2 now the count. Takes another one inside. Against Newton South, Dialchin Eriksson was 0 for 2 with a walk and a strikeout. He's on the cusp of both results here with a full count. Payoff pitch. He makes contact. That's a grounder over to short. Takes second. Throw to first. Is in time. They get the 6-3 double play. They do advance Sawada to second, but now 2 down. A tough turn of events for Brookline there. And now coming up to the plate, the pitcher, number 12, Connor Jernigan. Big cut and a miss for strike 1. Jernigan, one of the better RBI hitters for Brookline last season, as you can see down below. 6 RBIs last year as he takes strike 2. Yesterday, Jernigan finished 0 for 3 with 1 strikeout. Hoping to make something happen here with a runner on third and 2 down. And a big swing and a miss, and Jernigan goes down on strikes, and that will end the top of the first inning. Brookline threatens but cannot score, and they do secure their first hit of the season with that leadoff single by Sawada. And now we move to the bottom of the first. Now I'm just going to take a second and finish filling in the roster for Wellesley. All right. Meanwhile, for Brookline, taking the mound is Connor Jernigan. You can see his pitching stats here from last year. Was one of the more active pitchers for Brookline. I think he was about 4th on the team in total innings pitched. As you can see, he threw 16 plus in 6 appearances, including 5 starts. Had a solid 4.38 ERA, a 1.81 whip, and 8 strikeouts. So, you know, he's got some solid numbers. And he was recovering from an injury, so he was on limited action last year. The hope is that we're going to, see a more healthy Jernigan on the mound, able to take his arm to that next level. This the Wellesley lineup he'll be facing. I only have last names, unfortunately, but here they are. Leading off for Wellesley, the center fielder, number 18, O'Neill. Batting second, the third baseman, number 27, Banish. Batting third, the pitcher, number 21, Gopal. Batting cleanup, the designated hitter, number 33, Murphy. Batting fifth, the left fielder, number 11, Palladino. Batting sixth, the first baseman, number 7, Leibenthal. Batting seventh, the right fielder, number 3, Zolosh. Batting eighth, the catcher, number 5, Ahern. Batting ninth, the second baseman, number 22, Rich. And batting 10th, the shortstop, number 15, Bayer. So that is the Wellesley roster. And there's the throw down to second from Doctoroff, the catcher. And now we get ready to start the bottom of this first inning. Leading off for Wellesley, the center fielder, number 18, O'Neill. First pitch from Jernigan is in there, strike one. Hard contact on this one, over to short, scooped up by Dialchin Erickson, thrown to first, but it pulled Melton off the bag, and he's safe. That is a tough play to make in a rush like that, especially at this level. And the thing is, Brookline's usually got a bit more of a luxury at first base because usually Jernigan himself is playing first. He's a big guy. He's got a lot of range when receiving those throws at first as he misses this one with for ball one. So credit to Melton for making sure that throw didn't get away from him completely. But unfortunately, he's just not big enough to make that catch and stay on the bag. Pickoff attempt on O'Neill, and he's going to dive back safely. Remember, this is not the MLB, so there is not a limit on how many times he can throw it back to first, mostly because we don't have a pace of play problem at this level. Is this pitch in there for strike one? Yeah, that's one of the things I always think, and I always think to say to people is, like, if you're tired of what some of the pro games have turned into, tune into your local high school game. I promise you, there is so much value to be had with high school games. In baseball, for example, like I said, pace of play so much more efficient. It's not the 3 true outcomes. It's not all walks, strikeouts, and homers. A lot of balls in play. A lot of stolen bases, a real necessity for small ball to rule the day for a lot of programs, as that one is strike 2 against Banish. Just a really fun game baseball is at this level. Couldn't recommend it enough. 1-2, the count to Banish. That pitch comes in high, ball 2. O'Neill at first. Nobody out here in the bottom of the second. A 2-2 count to the third baseman, number 27, Banish. And he fouls this one off. That's one of those pitches where it's like the pitcher did catch you chasing a little bit, but you just got to throw everything you got into it so you can catch a piece of it and stay alive, and that's exactly what Banish did there. Count remains 2-2. That one comes in low. He wasn't fooled on that one, and we've got ourselves a full count here. But I think they just said the count is actually 2-2. Maybe I miscounted? And the officials had two different counts, so now I don't know what the count is. Okay, so I wasn't the only one who was confused. Personally, I had it as 3-2. I didn't hear a signal, but I think it's a full count. And either way, it doesn't matter. Strike 3. Jernigan takes care of Banish on that one. Give Banish some credit for giving him a tough time with that at bat, but give Jernigan credit for finishing the job for out number 1. Now at the plate, the pitcher, number 21, Gopal. So once again, it's pitcher against pitcher. Jernigan went down on strikes on the other side of this matchup. Let's see what happens here as that is in there. Caught the high outside corner for strike 1. And the runner takes off. It's in there for a strike, but it got out of Doktoroff's glove. So that will be an 0-2 count. But O'Neill does get the steal. Oh, 2 pitch misses outside, ball 1. That is just a tough turn of events for Doktoroff. He's got a good arm behind the plate there. He's caught a few base stealers in his time, but ball just popped out. That one just inside, ball 2. 2-2. Gopal not giving him any easy out here. Count now 2-2. O'Neill at second, 1 out. Just outside. You could see Doktoroff trying to frame that one, but the ump wouldn't bite. We've got a full count. And he misses high, ball 4. Gopal fights back from an 0-2 count to draw a walk. Now runners at first and second with 1 down. And we've got a pinch runner coming in. This is number 9. I'm going to have to check and see if I can find the name there. But for now, runners at first and second. Up comes the designated hitter, number 33, Murphy. First pitch in there, strike 1. This one sails in high, ball 1. And number 9 is not on Wellesley's roster. That is unfortunate, as that one misses outside, ball 2. It is the wildest thing. A very nice photographer next to me handed me the full Wellesley roster. Number 9's not on there, so big thank you to that guy for trying to help me here. As Murphy fouls this one off for strike 2, 2-2 now the count. 2-2 count, 2 runners on, 1 down. And that one misses high and outside. Ball 3. We've got another full count. Wellesley is making Jernigan work with each and every at-bat. And he gets him swinging. The pitch is dropped, but there are runners on, so he can't even try that one. That will simply be out number 2. So now 2 down, a big strikeout get for Jernigan. Coming up to the plate now, the left fielder, number 11, Palladino. First pitch, and there's contact that's going up the middle, and it's going to get past everybody. Runner's going to come around third and head for home, and he's going to make it. Wellesley is first on the board with the RBI single by Palladino. As O'Neill comes in and makes this a 1-0 ball game. Still 2 down, and up comes the first baseman, number 7, Liebenthal. First pitch in there, strike 1. 1-0 Wellesley leads. 2 down. Runners at first and second. And there's contact. It's a grounder up the third baseline, fielded by Kessler, and he can't beat the runner to the bag. An infield single for Liebenthal is going to load the bases. So now bases loaded with 2 outs, and up comes the right fielder, number 3, Zolosh. First pitch in there, strike 1. And Jernigan steps off for a second. You know, for Brookline, somebody in the field has to make a play. Not just for the sake of getting out of the inning, but for the sake of, you know, making sure your pitcher knows you've got his back, as that one misses high for ball 1. Because so far there's been 3 balls in play. We've had an error, a single up the middle, and an infield single. As that one misses outside. And you see what happens is the pitcher might start feeling like he's got to do everything himself, so he starts, you know, trying a little too hard to paint the corners and fool the hitters into swinging instead of just pitching to the zone and pitching to contact. And as a result, you get these long at-bats, although that one manages to just barely catch the outside corner for strike 2. But you think about how many pitches each of these at-bats has been, and part of that is that Jernigan's been trying really hard to paint the corners on these at-bats. As that one is fouled off, and Zolosh stays alive. Two down, bases loaded. 2-2, the count to Zolosh. This one's in the dirt, but well blocked by Doktorov. It will be a full count, though. Swing and a miss. Huge strikeout for Jernigan as he gets out of the jam with minimal damage. Takes care of all 3 outs himself. And the first inning comes to a close. After 1, the score, Wellesley 1, Brookline 0. Due up for Brookline in the top of the second will be Kravitz, Hart, and Melton. We got a few sprinkling raindrops coming down out here at Sprague, and no, the okay, that was a temporary heart attack as my foot caught on one of the wires of my headset and pulled out the audio interface. I'm okay. I'm not panicking. You're panicking. But I was reaching to grab an umbrella as we might have some slight weather concerns. Gopal returns to the mound here for his second inning of work. Took care of business in the first. Brookline did threaten. They got runners on first and second with nobody out. But a double play and a strikeout put an end to the threat as Brookline stranded a runner at third. And right now I'm just hoping that the rain doesn't go too hard. Few more notes in the live chat from Eamon Bochelle. Let's go Warriors. Nico Hart is one to watch. I love seeing other Brookline student athletes tuning in to watch these. Eamon Bochelle, of course, a critical member of Brookline's boys soccer team, a state champion from a couple of seasons ago from that 2021 fall season as Ryan Kravitz fouls off the first pitch he sees for strike 1. And that one is in there for strike 2. Kravitz, you can see one of those players who had a big difference between his batting average and his on base. And he makes contact here, hard grounder, but fielded at third by Banish, thrown to first. Clean first out of the inning. Well fielded at third by Banish. You know, I always say there's no such thing as a routine ground ball at the high school level. So when you see a guy field it cleanly, especially a hard hit ball like that, you know, you got to give credit where credit is due. As Nico Hart takes strike 1. Hart didn't get too many appearances at the plate last season, but he put up some okay numbers as he hits a little dribbler up the first base line, and that's going to stay fair, and it's going to be scooped up and tagged for out number 2. So they're getting bat on ball, but not in the spots they need, as up comes the first baseman, number 14, Avery Melton. Melton takes strike 1. You can see Melton had some very solid numbers. He was a bit of a platoon player last year, but towards the end of the season, he caught fire and got a number of nice hits. hoping to carry that over here as he takes that one low for ball one. Yesterday, he manned the spot behind the plate for Brookline, but today filling Jernigan's spot at first while Jernigan takes the hill as he slices this one foul for strike two. One and two, the count to Melton. Two down here in the top of the second. And he takes strike three. Gopal puts him down in order in the top of the second. And we move to the bottom half of the inning. Score still Wellesley 1, Brookline 0. As Jernigan retakes the mound for the bottom half of the inning, due up will be the 8, 9, 10 hitters for Wellesley, Ahern, Rich, and Beyer. One last note in the live chat from Barbara Jo Metzger. So glad you're back, Jesse. Go Warriors. Oh, and it looks like I missed an earlier one from White Chocolate. Couldn't agree more, Sina Doktorov, referring to Sina's comment. So great to hear your voice, Jesse. Thank you all so much for the kind words. Brookline Warriors Baseball Nation has been so kind to me over the years, both in the spring and the summer seasons. One of the first, that summer team, literally the first team I covered back from all the COVID cancellations in spring of 2020. And since then, I can't say enough about what a great relationship it's been, covering Brookline baseball. And all you guys in the community helped to make that experience so great for me. So thank you all. Bottom of the second inning, Jernigan back on the hill. Leading off for Wellesley, the catcher, number 5, Ahern. Jernigan had to really work in that first inning. He did manage to escape with just one run allowed. As this one is a dribbler, fielded by Dialchin Erickson, throw to first is in time. Redemption, thy name is James Dialchin Erickson. After the throwing error to start the first inning, Dialchin Erickson makes a beauty of a play, charging in, throwing on the run, pinpoint accurate, perfect timing to just barely get the out. Like I said, don't take any outs at the high school level for granted. These kids got to work for them, and Dialchin Erickson worked for that one. Nice play. This pitch is low for ball one to the second baseman, number 22, Rich. Miss is low and away, ball two. So interestingly enough, that out was the first non-strikeout out that Brookline has gotten defensively. First out in the field, as that is strike one to Rich. Jernigan, of course, got 3 strikeouts in a very hard-fought bottom of the first inning. This one in there, strike two. And that one caught the corner. Strike three. give some credit to Doctoroff on that one. That was very close to the corner. You never know how much a catcher's framing helps, but no question it helped there. And cycling around to the top of the order here, taking strike one is the center fielder, number 18, O'Neill. So Byer just playing the field today at short. He is not a hitter. That was my mistake. O'Neill makes contact back at short, fielded by Tjelchen Derrickson. Hard throw to first, gets away. But good hustle by Doctoroff, cutting off the errant throw as it just missed by a number of inches from going out of play and giving O'Neill a chance to advance. Instead, he just takes first on the E6. Again, forced error, I would say, on that play, as O'Neill clearly brings a lot of speed on the base paths. And again, that was a slow-rolling deep grounder as the pickoff attempt misses, almost gets away from Melton, but hits O'Neill to actually kind of help Brookline in a way. 2 down. Up to the plate, the third baseman, number 27, Banish. And O'Neill takes off, pitches in for a strike. Doctoroff down to second is not going to be in time, as O'Neill takes second for the second time today. Again, this is a level of play where good base running is priceless. 0-1 the count to Banish. Runner at second now, 2 down. And fouls that one off. That'll be strike 2. Banish, his last time up, he went down on strikes. Now he's facing an 0-2 count with 2 down. And he sliced this one high out to the outfield. They're tracking it, and Siegel dropped it! He dropped it out in center, and O'Neill's going to come home on the error. The fielding mistakes costly for Brookline early in this one as Banish reaches on an E8. And so instead of getting out of the inning with no score, now it is 2-0 Wellesley. And up comes the pitcher, number 21, Gopal. Time was called by the official there. And that one was just tough. Throw over to first. Does not get Banish as he dives back. You know, it can be so tough early in the season. You know, it's cold, the wind is blowing, the baseball hurts your hand anytime it hits your glove or your bat. And we've seen those we've seen the toughness that Brookline's had in a couple of plays, getting the glove around the ball. And there's contact, and it goes foul. Almost went down the first baseline past Melton, but was just wide of the bag. 0-2 is the count, I believe. As that one misses low and in for ball 1. And this one fouled off as Gopal stays alive. Attempts the pick off, and again, Banish dives back. One and two, the count to Gopal. And fouls off another. Again, the Wellesley hitters battling a lot at the plate. And that's the kind of thing that, wears the pitcher down over time and can pay more and more dividends as the game goes on. That's in there for strike three. A tough inning defensively for Brookline. But again, Jernigan stands tall, both in height and pitching ability, to get out of the inning with minimal damage. And again, we got some light rainfall here out in Wellesley. As long as it doesn't get too heavy, we'll be able to continue. And I mean that both in the sense of continuing the game and me continuing my broadcast, because, of course, got a lot of electrical equipment out here, and can be fairly expensive. So don't want anything bad happening there. But for now, for Brookline, due up will be the 8-9-1 hitters, Kessler, Doktorov, and Sawada. Gopal back on the mound. Faced a bit of a threat in the first inning, but got out of an early jam. And in the second inning, set the hitters down in order. Now facing the bottom of the lineup for Brookline. Warm-up throws are completed. Now coming to the plate for Brookline, the third baseman, number 11, Nate Kessler. Swing and a miss at the first pitch, strike one. You can see, looking at his stats from last year, Kessler, another one of those players with a big difference between batting average and on-base percentage. As he takes strike two there, Brookline certainly has a certain degree of ability when it comes to plate patience, but in this one, Kessler falling behind quickly, 0-2. Makes contact, and that's going to go past third. Shortstop chases it down, but too deep in the infield, and Kessler has got himself a leadoff hit. So for the second time in 3 innings, Brookline gets the leadoff runner on a base hit. Now coming up for Brookline, the catcher, number 8, Ben Doktorov. Shows bunt, lays it down. It stays right in front of the plate. Picked up by the catcher, thrown to first. No, they called it a foul ball. I think they must have said it went off of Doktorov's leg or something. Or maybe it went off the plate. You know, when it just kind of dies in front of the plate like that, you can't, there are so many ways that can be called a foul ball. And whatever the reason, it is an 0-1 count to Doktorov. Similar to Kessler, you can see from the stats from last year, Doktorov, another guy with a big gap between batting average and on base. as he shows bunt, pulls back, and that's going to be strike 2. So the bunt off the table for Doktorov, and in fact, I think it was a bunt single that represented Doktorov's only base hit last year, as he now faces down an 0-2 count. Kessler at first. Head coach Brendan O'Connor giving a signal from third. Pitch, he shows bunt again, and he pushes it in. Picked up by Gopal, thrown to first in time. And Doktorov successful on the sac bunt to move Kessler along. Gutsy call to go for the bunt with a 2-strike count. But it pays off, and now cycling back around to the top of the order, we have the second baseman, number 5, Keenan Sawada. First pitch, Sawada cracks it. That's into the outfield. Juggled by the left fielder, but he recovers it and is able to hold Kessler at third. Keenan Sawada, 2 for 2 today. A first pitch hit, and now, with runners on the corners and 1 out, up comes the center fielder, number 20, Harrison Siegel. Last time up, he was hit by a pitch and was then thrown out on a double play ball. Sawada takes off on the first pitch. It's in there for a strike. They try to fake the throw down to second. Kessler doesn't bite, and Sawada will take second base on the steal. 2 runners now in scoring position for Brookline. The tying run is at second. Siegel, again, the leader in every hitting percentage category last year. And that is strike 2. Timeout now called. So the bottom of the lineup got something going here for Brookline. They've now got runners at second and third. 1 away, 0-2 count to Siegel. Makes good contact. That's out to left. 1 run is coming in. Sawada holds at third and dives back to the bag. Harrison Siegel has Brookline's first RBI hit of the season. Nate Kessler comes in to score Brookline's first run of the ball game, and Brookline's starting to threaten here. Brief timeout called by Gopal. Siegel, I think he's looking for a base runner's glove. Yeah, there it is. He's getting his base runner's mitten. You know, good to protect the safety of the hands. Like I said, it's chilly out today, and your hand's going to hurt that much more no matter what you're doing. Now coming up, runners at the corners still. 1 out. Now a 2-1 ball game. The shortstop, number 7, James Dialchand Erickson, steps in. Siegel takes off on the first pitch. Dialchand Erickson hits a dribbler up the first base line. Fielded at first. They're going to go for the tag, and they're going to get it. Siegel is going to run to third, and Sawada has scored the tying run. Runner at third, 2 down now, and up comes the pitcher, number 12, Connor Jernigan. Siegel dancing off a third. First pitch in there for a strike. Bit of deja vu from the first inning. Jernigan at the plate with 2 down and a runner at third in a tie ball game. Big cut and a miss. Strike 2. And you know what you got to love? The 2 guys that drove in the 2 runs this inning were the 2 guys that had the fielding errors that gave up that second run in the bottom of the second. You love that. You love seeing players put the bad stuff behind them and step up and make big plays. That one's going to miss low for ball 1. One and 2 now the count to Jernigan. Big swing and a miss, and that's going to be strike 3. But Brookline able to come back and tie it up at 2 apiece in the top of the third. We got ourselves a ball game now, folks. Heading into the bottom of the third, the score, Brookline 2, Wellesley 2. Due up for Wellesley will be Murphy, Palladino, and Liebenthal. A great rally by Brookline in that one. Started by one of their seniors, Nate Kessler, a guy who played in more of a platoon role last year. And didn't get too many big hits, but he got a big one to start things in the top of that third inning. Doctoroff took care of his job. Kind of a gutsy call again to go for the bunt with 2 strikes. And yet he took care of business to lay down the sac bunt, move the runner, and then Keenan Sawada with his second hit of the day put runners at the corners, which opened up second base for Sawada to steal pretty easily. You know, again, that's the impact of the small ball, of moving a runner along. That sac bunt by Doctoroff allowed Brookline to put 2 runners in scoring position, which is what allowed them to score on a single and a groundout. You know, there might have been one less run if even one of those plate appearances goes differently. And yet nothing was an extra base hit. You know, you had some good contact on some nice singles, but other than that, a sac bunt and a groundout and no extra base hits. And we've got a new pitcher for Brookline. Taking over now for Jernigan will be number 9, Nico Hart. Hart last year made 3 pitching appearances, including 1 start. Pitched 5 2/3 innings with a strong 3.71 ERA, a 1.41 WHIP, and 3 strikeouts. You can see the stats up there. Now making his first pitching appearance of the new season here in the bottom of the third inning. So Jernigan will exit with a no decision as he moves to first base. He finishes with 2 runs allowed, but neither of them earned. So in terms of ERA, he's going to go down with 2 shutout innings effectively. Stepping up for Wellesley, the designated hitter, number 33, Murphy. First pitch from Hart is fouled off the body for strike 1. Murphy, his last time up, went down on strikes, now facing a new pitcher. And that one is fouled off. You know, it could be easy to look at how well Jernigan's been performing on the mound so far today and say, why pull him after just 2 innings? But remember, Those were some long innings that Jernigan was battling through. As that one is going to be swing for strike 3, but it's going to get away from Doctoroff. He's going to try and throw it out to first. They got him! Near disaster for Brookline, as that ball would not stop rolling away from Doctoroff, but he chased it down just in time. And Murphy goes down on strikes. Now stepping up with one down, the left fielder, number 11, Palladino. First pitch in the dirt, and that hit the umpire. And that's going to be ball 1. So like I was saying, Jernigan's pitch count in those 2 innings got up there, as there were a lot of long at-bats, innings that, lasted a good while as Wellesley kept putting the pressure on. So credit to him for escaping both innings with minimal damage, but that hard fight might have been part of the reason he's been pulled already, as this is a 2-0 count to Palladino. That one's going to miss for ball 3. Palladino, his last time up, got an RBI single as he takes strike 1 there. The other thing to consider is, the second time through the lineup can sometimes be very dangerous to a pitcher, as Palladino slices this one. That's going to go foul down the left field side, and that's going to be strike 2. As Hart battling back on the mound here. Payoff pitch is going to be low for ball 4. Excuse me. So that is just the second walk of the game so far for Wellesley for as long as the at-bats they've had. Not a lot of free passes. Now coming to the plate, the first baseman, number 7, Liebenthal. Throw back to first. And Palladino dives back safely. This pitch in there, strike 1. That pitch misses outside, ball 1. So one thing I'm going to try and keep an eye on is defensively. Jernigan moved over to first after leaving the mound. As this is hard contact out to left. That's going to be a race. It gets away from Kravitz. It bounced off his glove. And they're going to be held to a double. So score that either a double or a single and a one-base error. I think we can pretty safely call that one a double. So Liebenthal, with a big swing there, gets the first extra base hit of the day. And now Wellesley seriously threatening here in the bottom of the third with 1 out. First pitch to Zalosh is going to miss for ball 1. Zalosh, number 3, the right fielder, his last time up, he struck out to end the first inning, and he takes strike 1 there. Infield's been pulled up to the edge of the grass with 2 runners in scoring position, and that one's going to be fouled off for strike 2. And fouled off again by Zalosh, and he stays alive at 1-2. Reaches out, hits a grounder, blocked by Sawada, thrown to the plate, caught, and the tag is applied. That's the second time in 2 games that Brookline has pulled the 4-2 fielder's choice to save a run. They did it late in the game yesterday against Newton South, and now Sawada again pulls it off here. Now, with 2 down runners at the corners, up comes the catcher, number 5, Ahern. Last time up, Ahern grounded out to short. He's now got Zalosh at first and Liebenthal at third. That one's going to be in the dirt for ball 1. Pulls back the bunt, takes the strike. Zalosh does take second. 1-1 now the count to Ahern. Runners at second and third now. That one catches the inside corner for strike 2. In there, strike 3. Hart gets out of the jam. Through 3 innings, the score here at Sprague Field, Brookline 2, Wellesley 2. And the Brookline team getting a little pumped after this 3rd inning, as they not only came back offensively, but stood tall in the face of adversity defensively. To now create a tie game. Gopal returns to the mound for Wellesley. Due up for Brookline is going to be Kravitz, Hart, and possibly a pinch hitter for Melton. I didn't get a chance to see who had subbed in at right field. It looked like it might have been number 2, Owen Hoffman, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that one. But this is turning into quite the interesting ball game here. But either way, this part of the order for Brookline is going to be looking for a better result than what they got against Gopal back in the 2nd inning, as these exact same spots in the hitting order were due up last time, and they went down in order 1, 2, 3. They're going to be looking to try and make some noise, try and build on the momentum. And like I talked about when we were talking about Jernigan finishing his day after 2 innings, the second time through the lineup can be a big threat against a pitcher at any level of baseball, really, because now they've had a chance to, the hitters have had a chance to see your stuff. So we'll see how that works. As leading off for Brookline will be the left fielder, number 3, Ryan Kravitz. First pitch, Kravitz makes contact, but sends it foul up the third base line. Last time up, Kravitz grounded out to third. It was a hard hit ball, but just very well fielded by Banish as it was right at him. checks his swing that time, and that's going to be ball 1. So a 1-1 count to Kravitz. Slices this one. That's going into shallow right, and Rich is under it for out number 1. So 1 down. Now up to the plate, the pitcher, number 9, Nico Hart. Big swing and a miss, strike 1. Hart, his last time up, grounded out to first on a weird dribbler that just barely stayed fair. As that one skips in, bounces off the ump's leg, and you can see him walking that one off. Umps don't have as much padding as catchers. So when they get hit, that can really sting. Again, especially with how cold it is. Everything is always going to hurt just a little bit more when it's this cold. That one is going to miss high and outside, ball 2. Takes one inside, ball 3. You know, Hart didn't get that many plate appearances last year, but he did finish with an on-base percentage of .400. Trying to battle for a chance to reach base here, the 3-1. And he makes contact, pops it up. Shortstop backing up and does get it. Byer hauls that one in, so 2 shallow fly balls result in 2 outs for Brookline. And now coming up to the plate, number 2, the right fielder, Owen Hoffman. Takes a big swing and fouls it off for strike 1. Hoffman, who was not originally listed in the varsity lineup, got the start yesterday at shortstop as James Dialchin-Derrickson took to the mound. Hoffman finished the day 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Hoping to do something here, now playing right field. As he hits one, it fouls off down the third base side. And I mean, that just shows you the value of a guy who can play multiple positions. You know, if you don't have a lot of depth at a certain position and one of your main guys at that position has to pitch that day, that could create a big hole in your defense unless you've got one of those utility guys. Oh, and he chased it in the dirt. Hoffman couldn't hold himself on that one, and that is going to be strike 3. And that is going to end the top of the 4th inning. We're about midway through this game, 3.5 innings in, and we are tied at 2 apiece. Hart returning to the mound for a second inning of relief work. He will be facing the 9, 1, and 2 hitters for Wellesley, Rich, O'Neill, and Banish. And it looks like some of the Brookline bench players just kind of going for a quick run between innings. And I honestly can't say I blame them. You know, of all the sports to play in cold weather, baseball's got to be the most torturous because you're not running, you're not moving. You're just sitting there freezing, and for the players on the bench, it's even worse. Now stepping up to the plate for Wellesley, the second baseman, number 22, Rich. First pitch in the dirt, ball 1. Shows bunt and fouls it off. Rich, his last time up, he struck out. He's hoping to make something happen from the bottom of the batting order here. As this pitch comes in low and inside for ball 2. Shows bunt again, but pulls back for ball 3. That one catches the outside corner, strike 2. Full count now to Rich. And that one comes in low for ball 4. And Coach Brendan O'Connor coming out to talk to Hart, and I can understand why. You know, that's not a walk that you want to see your pitcher give up to a guy that's bottom of the order that's trying to lay down a bunt. You know, you want your pitcher to pitch to contact in that scenario, and it might just settle him down. Tell him to just throw strikes. Don't try and get too fancy. Just throw strikes. Although coming up is a guy that makes you a little worried about pitching to contact. It's a guy who's reached on infield errors twice already, and that is the center fielder, number 18, O'Neill. O'Neill responsible for both of Wellesley's runs thus far. He scored in both the first and second inning. So that pitch comes in low for ball 1. His first time up, O'Neill hit a grounder to short, and the throw just pulled the first baseman off the bag. As he slices this one up, it's a pop-up. D'Alchin Derrickson tracking it and has got the catch at short for out number 1. And you know that Brookline is glad to have O'Neill off the base paths this time. Now coming up with 1 out and a runner at first, the third baseman, number 27, Banish. First pitch in there for a strike. Banish, so far today, he struck out his first plate appearance, and his second plate appearance hit a fly ball into center, reached on an E8 on a play that scored O'Neill. Swings, and he got a piece of it, so that's going to be strike 2. The runner will not be able to advance. This one gets away from Doctoroff, and Rich is going to take second. Score that either a wild pitch or a passed ball. Take your pick. So now a runner in scoring position for Banish. The 1-2 count. Catches the outside corner for strike 3. Big strikeout get for Hart as he secures out number 2. Did they lose track of the count again? And indeed, it was confirmed that is strike 3. Now coming up to the plate, the pitcher, number 21, Gopal. First pitch in the dirt, but blocked this time by Doktorov. That'll be ball 1. And he makes contact here right at Sawada, and that's going to end the inning. Keenan Sawada's made a few very nice defensive plays for Brookline, and that one ends the threat in the bottom of the 4th inning. We are 4 innings in. This is officially an official game. And we are all tied at 2 apiece. During this intermission between the 4th and 5th inning, I'd like to take a moment for a local charity spotlight. I'd like to tell you about the Brookline Community Foundation. For over 100 years, the Brookline Community Foundation has been a trusted partner supporting Brookline by investing in organizations and initiatives that help create opportunity and promote equity for everyone who lives, learns, works, and plays in our community. Among the foundation's many grant programs is the BCF Scholarship Fund for Brookline High School, which provides graduating BHS students with scholarships to help fund post-secondary education. To date, 81 BHS students have received scholarships from this fund to help them as they build their futures. Your support is crucial to supporting Brookline youth as they embark on the next steps in their educational journeys. Visit brooklinecommunity.org or call 617-566-4442 to learn more about the BCF Scholarship Fund for Brookline High School and how you can make a difference right here in Brookline. Once again, brooklinecommunity.org or call 617-566-4442. And as always, you can see all the information you need about the Brookline Community Foundation down in the description section down below. And in the 5th inning, we have now got a new pitcher on the hill for Wellesley. Number 8 is coming up. And number 8 is Snow. Oh, and number 9 was Redgate. I had the answer right in front of me all along. So Gopal will finish with a no decision after 4 innings and 2 earned runs. First to the plate for Brookline, the third baseman, number 11, Nate Kessler. He takes strike 1. Kessler got things started for Brookline in that explosive 3rd inning. A leadoff single came in to score the team's first run. He takes strike 2. The same 0-2 count he faced his last time up at the plate. Does he have another big swing in him here? Takes that one outside for ball 1. And this pitch gets all the way away from the catcher. That's going to be ball 2. This is important to keep an eye on. You know, one thing I haven't been able to really say in singing the praises of Nico Hart is it's hard to come in as a reliever at this level. You know, you don't have specialists the way you do in college or the pros. As Kessler slaps one out to right, sliding catch is made. Oh my gosh. I hope I caught that one. I was trying to turn the camera to an angle I couldn't really see the box from, so I hope I caught that one. That was a spectacular catch by Zalosh out and right. Well hit ball by Kessler, but better defensive play. Now up to the plate for Brookline, the catcher, number 8, Ben Doctoroff. Doctoroff takes strike 1. Last time up, Doctoroff laid down a sac bunt. But now no runners on. 1 down here in the 5th. And he takes strike 2. And that one is in there. Doctoroff down on 3 pitches. And 2 quick outs. And you can see what a difference a good defensive play can make for settling down a pitcher after that big catch by Zalosh out and right. Now up to the plate, the second baseman, number 5, Keenan Sawada. First pitch is low, ball 1. Sawada 2 for 2 so far today with a pair of singles and a run scored. Takes strike 1 there. Takes strike 2. 2 down, bases empty here in the top of the 5th. And fouls one off to stay alive. Sawada battling here, 1 and 2. And he fouls off another. Count still 1 and 2. And that one is inside for ball 2. 2 and 2. Bases empty, 2 down here in the top of the 5th. Reaches out, hits a grounder, going up the middle. It's going to be fielded by Byer, thrown to first, and it's snagged at first by Liebenthal. And that is going to end the inning. Brookline got a couple of nice swings there in the top of the 5th, but some great defensive play by Wellesley puts them down in order. The wind whipping a little bit out here at Sprague as we get ready for the bottom of the 5th inning. Due up for Wellesley will be Murphy, Palladino, and Liebenthal. Hart returning to the mound for his 3rd inning of work. Two shutout innings of relief so far for Brookline's number 9. It'll be the 4, 5, 6 hitters coming up for Wellesley here in the bottom of the 5th. I don't think I had my camera pointed at it, but it is so cold out here, players can see their breath. That's where we are right now. In April. Welcome to New England. Where even in the middle of the spring, the threat of frostbite is real. Last warm-up throw. And now we get ready for the bottom of the 5th inning. Leading off for Wellesley, the designated hitter, number 33, Murphy. Hard crack over a jumping Sawada rather into right field. A clean first pitch single to lead off for the Wellesley Raiders. And that is the first base hit from either team in the past couple of innings, as the last base hit was that double by Liebenthal back in the 3rd. Now up to the plate with a runner on first, the left fielder, number 11, Palladino. First pitch inside, ball 1. Shows bunt, lays it down the 3rd base line, picked up by Kessler, thrown to first. And they get out number 1, but the sac bunt is successful by Palladino. You know, give him credit for trying to turn that into a bunt single, laying that down the 3rd base line like he did, but a good reaction by Kessler over at 3rd made it a simple sac bunt. So 1 down. Go ahead run at 2nd. Now up the first baseman, number 7, Liebenthal. First pitch, it's a hard crack. Fielded by Djalchin Eriksson, thrown to first, and that's out number 2. A good snag by Djalchin Eriksson. And now 2 down. Go ahead run at 3rd. And now up the right fielder, number 3, Zolosh. Zolosh made that big catch out and right in the top half of the inning. He takes strike 1 on the first pitch. Murphy stands at 3rd. Shows bunt, whiffs on the bunt. They were trying for the squeeze play. I think that pitch came in unexpectedly high. Hart's been leaning relatively low with a lot of his pitches today, but he went with a high heat that time and fooled Zolosh. This one also sails in high for ball 1. One and 2, 2 down. Go ahead run at 3rd. Fouls it off. Zolosh, last time up, hit into a fielder's choice where the runner got thrown out at home and would be stranded at 2nd. Before that, struck out to end the first inning. Makes contact. Again, it's right at Sawada. Keenan Sawada having himself a day at the plate and in the field, as that's another inning-ending catch for the second baseman. We are 5 innings in, and we are still tied here at Sprague Field. Brookline 2, Wellesley 2. As we get ready for the top of the 6th inning, it'll be the 2, 3, 4 hitters for Brookline coming up. Siegel, Dialchand, Erickson, and Jernigan. Of course, Siegel and Dialchand Erickson responsible for driving in the 2 runs Brookline currently has. Siegel with an RBI single, Dialchand Erickson with an RBI groundout, both of them coming back in that top of the 3rd inning. Dialchand Erickson and Jernigan still searching for their first base hits of the year, as everybody went hitless yesterday for Brookline, but they've had a few nice hits so far today. Sawada's gotten a base hit twice. Kessler and Siegel have each gotten one. But Brookline has not gotten on base even since that 3rd inning. They've gone down 1, 2, 3 in each of the past 2 innings. Their defense has been standing tall, getting out of jam after jam, but their offense has got to make something happen. Number 8, Snow, returns to the mound for his 2nd inning of relief work after coming in for Gopal back in the 5th inning. Coming to the plate for Brookline, the center fielder, number 20, Harrison Siegel. First pitch, and he takes it, strike 1. Siegel so far 1 for 1 today with a hit by pitch and an RBI single. Slices that one foul. Siegel was the last Brookline batter to reach base safely, hoping he can do so again and get something started here in the 6th, but he's down 0-2. Slices this one. This one's going to be playable. Liebenthal's under it, and he's got the catch for out number 1. Now coming up, the shortstop, number 7, James Dialchand Erickson. JDE is 0 for 2 so far today with a pair of groundouts, but one of them an RBI groundout. Takes strike 1 on the first pitch. In there, strike 2. And that one comes in low. That'll be ball 1. That's in there, strike 3. Dialchin Erickson goes down on strikes. And now, with 2 down and the base is empty, up comes the first baseman, number 12, Connor Jernigan. First pitch comes in low, ball 1. Jernigan 0 for 2 today with a pair of strikeouts. Now, for the 3rd straight time, he's at the plate with 2 down. But this time with the bases empty. Last couple of times he was up, there was a runner at 3rd, but wasn't able to make anything happen those last 2 times. Now with 2 down and the base is empty here in the top of the 6th. Holds his swing, and that's ball 2. That's in there for a strike. Makes hard contact past the second baseman into center field. Jernigan's got his first hit of the season. You know Jernigan would have loved to have gotten that hit on either of his previous at-bats with a runner on 3rd. But nothing you can do about the past. He's got his hit now, and we've got a pinch runner for Brookline. Now standing on first is number 18, Alec Robin. Very interesting. As now coming to the plate for Brookline, the left fielder, number 3, Ryan Kravitz. Kravitz, 0 for 2 so far today. Had nice contact his first at bat, but well fielded at 3rd. Hit a blooper his second time up, but wasn't in no man's land, was within range of the second baseman. Robin dancing off of first. Snow keeping an eye. The pitch in there, strike 1. Snow checks the runner. And Kravitz hits a grounder up the first base side, and that's going to be strike 2. Oh, and 2 the count, 2 down. Robin at first. Pitch is low for ball 1. Runner takes off, but Kravitz swings and misses, and that ends the inning. Brookline gets 1 runner on, but can't get any further. And we head to the bottom of the 6th. Still tied at 2 apiece. Coming up for Wellesley here in the bottom of the 6th inning will be the 8-9-1 hitters, Ahern, Rich, and O'Neill. Hart back out on the mound again. Continuing his relief effort that started all the way back in the 3rd inning. Right after Brookline had come back and tied the score at 2. And it's been a pitcher's duel ever since. We've got a pinch hitter now. Batting in place of number 5, Ahern, is number 4, McCausland. First pitch is sliced foul for strike 1. That one misses outside, ball 1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. One and 2, the count to McCausland. Catches the low corner, strike 3. Now coming up, the second baseman, number 22, Rich. First pitch catches the low corner, strike 1. Shows bunt, lays down the bunt. Hart charges in, snags it, throws to first for out number 2. You know Coach O'Connor likes to see that. You remember Rich, the last time he faced Hart walked him despite the fact that Rich was showing bunt with the bases empty, and O'Connor came out and talked to him, kind of tried to settle him down after that one. And you can see he's learned as he just pitched right to contact to Rich there. 2 down, and that's strike 1 to the center fielder, number 18, O'Neill. 0 for 3 so far, but has reached base twice on a pair of throwing errors and has scored both of Wellesley's runs so far today. Brookline knows he's a threat on the base paths. He's got 2 stolen bases as well as the 2 runs scored. And you could almost call those 2 throwing errors forced errors with how fast he goes down the paths as he fouls that one off. This pitch in the dirt, ball 2. This one also in the dirt, ball 3. A full count now to O'Neill with 2 down and the base is empty here in the bottom of the 6th. Payoff pitch in the dirt, and O'Neill gets a free pass to first. Now with their fastest runner representing the potential go-ahead run at first base, a guy who's already stolen second twice today. Up comes the third baseman, number 27, Banish. Throw back to first, and O'Neill just steps back. First pitch comes in low for ball one. Good block by Doctoroff. This one is popped high, out into left. Kravitz tracking it, and he's got it for out number 3. We are headed into the 7th and final inning of regulation. And we are tied. So I have to specify regulation now. Because now the question becomes, are we going to see the end of this ball game in this inning? Or are we going to need some extra baseball out here in Wellesley? Snow returning to the mound for another inning of relief work for the Raiders. And for the Warriors, due up first will be their heroic relief pitcher, Nico Hart, who has been dealing with 4 shutout innings of relief so far. Following him will be the substitute right fielder, Hoffman. And then after that will be the third baseman, Kessler. Both Hart and Hoffman searching for their first hits of the year. We've seen a few players for Brookline get their first hits. Jernigan became the latest with a 2-out single last inning. It's been cold, it's been windy, it's been spittling rain on and off. But these players continue to play their hearts out. We begin the 7th inning. Leading off for Brookline, the pitcher, number 9, Nico Hart. First pitch comes in inside, ball 1. That one's in there for strike 1. Hart, his last time up, he popped out to the shortstop in shallow center. Before that, grounded out to first. That one looked like it almost hit him. But it's going to be ball 2. Might have caught a piece of the ump as he took a bit of a walk around there. That ump's been taking some punishment so far today. I give him credit. Being an umpire is already such a thankless job, but to keep getting hit with baseballs, that does not make it any easier. Hats off to the umps. They're battling out here too. 2-1 pitch in there, strike 2. And that pitch in the dirt, we've got a full count. And
And he makes contact as a grounder over to third. Banish juggled it. He booted it, and Hart's going to reach on the error. Nico Hart representing the potential go-ahead run at first as he reaches on the E5. And now we've got a new pinch hitter coming in for Brookline. Number 15, Leander Gosling. This is Gosling's first plate appearance of this new season. He now comes up with a runner at first and nobody out. Snow checks on Hart over at first. He shows bunt, lays it down. Pitcher picks it up, throws to first, and they got the out, but the sac bunt is successful. Gosling does his job and moves the potential go-ahead score into scoring position. One out, runner at second. Now up, the third baseman, number 11, Nate Kessler. Kessler calls time. Rain starts spittling again. Snow checks on Hart at second. The pitch misses outside, ball one. Kessler singled and later scored back in the third. And then he was the first pitcher Snow faced, the first batter Snow faced when he came in back in the fifth. And he was victim to a great diving catch by Zolosh out and right as he takes strike one. It's a 1-1 count. So Kessler's put a really good bat on the ball twice today. Does he have one more? That one misses outside, ball two. And that one comes in low. Hart thought about running, but decided against it as it was well blocked by the catcher. This is a 3-1 count now. And an attempted pickoff throw. Hart gets back to second. Three 3-1. Almost hits him. Might have hit him. Doesn't matter. Either it's ball four or it's a hit by pitch. Either way, Kessler trots down to first. Now coming up with runners at first and second, the catcher, number 8, Ben Doctoroff. Doctoroff has laid down a sac bunt and he's gone down on strikes. Timeout is called, and we're going to get a visit to the mound. Nico Hart representing the potential go-ahead run at second. Nate Kessler at first. Doctoroff coming to the plate.
This is going to be an interesting... It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do here with Doctoroff. Because you've got the top of your order due up. Doctoroff, a guy they decided to have laid down a bunt his first time up. And then his second time up, the bases were empty. And last year, I believe he only got one base hit the entire season, and that was on a bunt, on a weird pop bunt against Newton North, where he managed to dodge the tag from the first baseman as his bunt went up the first base line. And we do have a new pitcher. I didn't notice, but we do have a new pitcher for Wellesley coming in. This is number 6, Hardigan. So Snow leaves a pair of inherited runners. If Hardigan gets out of the inning safely, then it will be a no decision for Snow. But if either Hart or Kessler come in to score, Snow would potentially be on the hook for the loss as the pitcher. Boy, I'll tell you, there's no better remedy for a bad weather day than a good game. And this has been one heck of a game so far. Hardigan has finished warming up. Doctoroff is in the box. Here we go. Shows bunt, pulls back, but it catches the corner for strike one. Shows bunt, lays it down. Picked up by Liebenthal, thrown to first. And they got him just barely. But the sac bunt does move the runners along once again. So they decided to go to the sac bunt and put the potential go-ahead run 90 feet from the plate for the top of their batting order. Coming up with 2 down and runners at second and third, the second baseman, number 5, Keenan Sawada. He's got 2 hits already today. And with a runner at third, you got to keep an eye out. The catcher, who I believe is still Ahern, number 5. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell jersey numbers for a catcher because they wear so much equipment, but I believe it's still Ahern, number 5. He has been doing a good job. We really both teams have done a great job of limiting the wild pitches, the pass balls. I think I've only written down like 1 wild pitch that a runner advanced on for both teams so far today. But with the go-ahead run at third, that possibility does loom large. Second and third, 2 down. Sawada's got 2 hits. He had a memorable walk-off hit against Cambridge Ringe last year. Does he have another bout of heroics here? Hardigan steps off the bag, or steps off the rubber, I should say. They go for the intentional pass. Sawada is getting the free pass. They want to set up the force.
at every base. And so it is bases loaded, 2 outs, tie game, last inning of regulation. Up to the plate, the center fielder, number 20, Harrison Siegel. First pitch gets away from the catcher. Hart's taking off. He's coming in. Dives in. Brookline has the lead. Nico Hart, who scored Brookline's only run on a wild pitch yesterday, he comes in to score on a wild pitch today. Just like that. Now a 1-0 count to Siegel. Brookline now hoping to add some insurance runs. And that one's in there, strike one. Siegel is 1 for 2 so far today, with a hit by pitch, an RBI single, and a pop out. Took a big swing there, but got fooled on the off speed. 1-2 now the count. That pitch just low, ball 2. Runners at second and third, 2-2. Makes contact, blooper into left. Sliding catch made by Palladino, and that is going to end the inning. Brookline leaves 2 stranded, but they get 1 across. We get ready to go for the bottom of the 7th inning. The score, Brookline 3, Wellesley 2. Now the question, does Brookline send out the hot hand Nico Hart for a 5th inning of work? It looks like they are. Nico Hart back on the mound, trying to close it out after scoring the go-ahead run in the top half of the inning. He'll be facing the heart of Wellesley's order, the 3-4-5 hitters, Gopal, Murphy, and Palladino. First up to the plate for Wellesley, number 21, Gopal.
First pitch is in there, strike one. Second pitch low, ball one. Makes contact, foul. 1-2 the count against Gopal. His last time up, Gopal lined out to second to end the fourth inning. Before that, struck out in the second. That one skipped in the dirt for ball two. And then before that, he walked. So Gopal 0 for 2 with a walk so far today. Now facing a 2-2 count. Makes contact. It's a grounder over to second. Fielded by Sawada. And he gets up and throws it to first for out number one. The Brookline infield had a couple of rough errors in the first couple innings. But they've been standing strong ever since, making a number of nice stops on some tough grounders. One down. Now up, the designated hitter, number 33, Murphy. First pitch is low and away, ball one. Murphy, his last time up, got a leadoff single in the bottom of the fifth. Swings and misses at that one, strike one. That one catches the inside corner, strike two. That one hits him. Murphy's going to get a free pass to first on the hit by pitch. Dr. Off taking a moment to talk with Hart. So that is a tough situation. And they're going to bring in number 9, Redgate, as a pinch runner for the second time today. As he represents the potential tying run at first base. Now up, the left fielder, number 11, Palladino. Pickoff throw to first, and Redgate dives back. Palladino drove in Wellesley's first run all the way back in the first inning. Runner takes off. It comes in low. Dr. Off lasers down to second. The runner turned around. I don't know if I've ever seen a runner successfully change their mind halfway on an attempted steal and go back successfully. You just don't see that often. Redgate takes off again, comes in low again. Doctor Off the throw. He dodges around the tag and is safe. The throw just slightly wide from Dr. Off. And Redgate successfully steals. And it's a 2-0 count. With one down and the tying run now in scoring position. Makes contact. It's a hard grounder up the middle, and it's going to get through everybody. The runner's going to come around third and go for home. He tripped. He tripped. They got him at home. Oh, my God. Redgate stumbled. He stumbled and tripped
on the third baseline, and they caught him at home. I don't believe it. Harrison Siegel with a big throw from center field. And just like that, we go from tying up the game to now Brookline being 1 out away. I don't believe it. That said, Brookline is far from out of the woods at this point, as now Palladino represents the potential tying run in scoring position. Coming to the plate, the first baseman, number 7, Liebenthal. Liebenthal, he had a big double out to left, couple innings back. Now up at the plate, the last chance for Wellesley, 2 down. Potential tying run at second. And this one gets away from Doctoroff, and that's going to put Palladino at third. A 1-0 count off the pitch. 2 outs. Potential tying run now 90 feet away for Wellesley. Liebenthal at the plate. Makes contact as a hard grounder. Kessler juggles it, picks it up, throws to first, gets away from Jernigan. The game's tied. And it's out of play, and Liebenthal advances to second. Liebenthal reaches on the E5, and Palladino comes in to score. So now the goal for Brookline to get out of the inning and force extras, as now Liebenthal represents the winning run at second with 2 down here in the bottom of the 7th. Coming up for Wellesley, the right fielder, number 3, Zolosh. What an absolutely bonkers inning this has been. In the top half, Nico Hart reaches on an E5 to start the inning, is moved along by a sac bunt. A walk puts 2 runners on. Another sac bunt moves them to second and third. An intentional walk loads the bases, and then a wild pitch allowed Hart to score the go-ahead run for Brookline. Now in the bottom half of the inning, a 1-out hit by pitch. A pinch runner comes in and steals second. And then a single up the middle seems to tie the game, but the pinch runner trips on the third along the third baseline and gets thrown out at home for the second out. But that same guy who got the single advanced to second on the throw and then came in to score on this latest E5. We've got a pinch runner now at second, and we've got an intentional walk to Zolosh to put the force at first, second, and third. Pinch running for Liebenthal over at second is number 31, Van Zandt. Coming up to the plate now is the catcher, number 5, Ahern.
First pitch to Ahern is in there for a strike. This one's popped up. Kessler tracking it, but it's out of play. Strike 2 to Ahern. Potential winning run at second. Ahern at the plate, 0-2 count here in the bottom of the 7th, all tied at 3. This pitch comes in high for ball 1. Now this pitch in the dirt, but well blocked by Doctoroff. Runners hold. 2-2 now the count. And he launches this one out to left center. Kravitz tracking, and he's got it. Well, folks, we're getting some free baseball today. This one's going into extras. We now get ready for the start of extra innings. So as we get ready for the top of the 8th inning, it looks like we've got actually, do we have another new pitcher? We do have a new pitcher for Wellesley. And it looks like it's going to be number 11, Palladino, coming onto the mound from left field after scoring the game-tying run in the bottom of the 7th, as he takes over for Hardigan after Hardigan pitched 2/3 of an inning in the top of the 7th, gave up the, at the time, go-ahead run on a wild pitch. Due up for Brookline is going to be the 3, 4, 5 hitters. Dialchand, Erickson, Jernigan, and Kravitz. Warm-up throws completed. Palladino stepping onto the hill and stepping into the box for Brookline, the shortstop, number 7, James Dialchand Erickson. First pitch misses high and outside, ball 1. This now the 4th different pitcher for Wellesley today. As they started with Gopal, then they had Snow and Hartigan, and now Palladino here in the 8th. That one's in there for strike 1. That one misses outside, ball 2. Dialchand Erickson, his last time up, struck out in the 6th. Before that, he had an RBI ground out in the 3rd, and then a grounder into a double play in the 1st. 0 for 3 with an RBI so far as he takes strike 2. This one misses outside. We got a full count to start extra innings here. Hard crack from Dialchand Erickson, but it's a grounder right at Rich over at second, and he throws him out for out number 1. Now coming to the plate, the first baseman, number 12, Connor Jernigan. Big swing and a miss, strike 1. Jernigan 1 for 3 so far. Opened the day with a pair of strikeouts, then got a 2-out single back in the 6th, but was left stranded. And gets a piece of that one, but it's going to go foul, strike 2. Big swing and a miss, strike 3. Jernigan down on strikes for the 3rd time today, and that leaves Brookline with 2 outs and nobody on, and up comes the left fielder, number 3, Ryan Kravitz. First pitch misses, ball 1. Kravitz 0 for 3 so far today. He's grounded out, he's popped out, and he's struck out. Hoping to reach base for the first time. As that one is outside, ball 2. That one comes in low for ball 3. Three and 0 the count. That one's in there for strike 1. And as it starts to get a little darker at what is already a pretty overcast field, You have to worry about the darkness rules. They don't have any lights here. 3-1 pitch. Misses. Ball 4. Kravitz gets the free pass with 2 outs. And he represents the go-ahead run at first. Coming up to the plate, the pitcher, number 9, Nico Hart. Kravitz has got to be careful over at first. He's got a southpaw on the mound, which means a quicker throw over to first for a potential pickoff. Throws the pitch, comes in low, ball 1. Hart, his last time up, he reached on an E5 to lead off the 7th inning. Later came in to score on a wild pitch. That one's in there for strike 1. And Hart swings at one in the dirt, and I think they say he got a piece of it. And so Kravitz was unable to take off. Hart got fooled on that one, and it's a 1-2 count. That one gets away from the catcher as well. Kravitz is going to take second. 2-2 now the count. As the wild pitch now puts the potential go-ahead run in scoring position. That pitch misses. Ball 3. Hart continuing to battle here with 2 down in the top of the 8th. Kravitz representing the potential go-ahead run at second. Makes contact. Grounder snagged by Liebenthal at first. It's a race to first! And they got him! It was a close play at first, and Kravitz was rounding third, racing for home. But Hart, despite all the hustle he could bring, could not beat Palladino to the bag. And so Brookline comes away with no score in the top half of the 8th. And now Brookline bringing out a new pitcher here in the bottom of the 8th. So Nico Hart, after 5 innings of relief, he will return back to his original spot in right field with a no decision. Now taking to the mound is number 17, who is not on my roster. And I've just been told it is Charlie Engelman, who is listed on the roster as number 22, but he's wearing number 17. So he comes in place of Hart. And Hart moves back out to right. And Engelman will be facing the 9, 1, and 2 hitters, Rich, O'Neill, and Banish. Warm-up throws end. And it's only getting darker. And there's no lights at this field, and we're still tied. The pressure continues to mount. Bottom of the 8th. Leading off for Wellesley, the second baseman, number 22, Rich. Shows bunt, lays it down the third base line, and it's foul. Rich has been trying to lay down the bunt each of the last 3 plate appearances he's had, even though all 3 times the bases have been empty. The first time, he managed to fight his way to a walk. Second time was thrown out at first on the bunt attempt. Now here the count is 0-1. Tries to bunt again, and this one comes in high, ball 1. Shows bunt, lays it down. Picked up by Kessler, thrown to first, and he's out. One down, and we cycle around to the top of the order with number 18, O'Neill. O'Neill 0 for 3 so far today with a walk, a pop-out, and 2 reach-on errors, and 2 runs scored. Hard liner caught by Jernigan. Boy, you know, sometimes when you commentate baseball, you think, oh, I'm going to have time to say things and make my points, and then sometimes the sport just decides, nope, we're moving at, like, instant speed. 2 down, bases empty. Up comes the third baseman, number 27, Banish. First pitch comes in high, ball 1. I tell you, I really don't know if they're going to play another inning after this one. That one's in there, strike 1. This one gets away, ball 2. Sliced foul. Two and 2 the count. And that's in there, strike 3. Engelman puts them down in order. And they're going to call it. They're going to call this game due to darkness. So I think that means they're just going to put this in the scorebook as a tie, because it was long enough to be an official game and then some. And so that's how this is going to end. A thrilling contest Seems almost a shame to end in a tie, but with how hard both teams fought, it would almost be a shame if either one had to lose. It's weird. A tie is always going to make you feel weird, and there's never going to be any exception to that. You know, except maybe in some sports where it's common enough that it could be like part of the standings or something, like soccer or something like that. But in baseball, it's always going to feel weird. The final score here at Sprague Field, Brookline 3, Wellesley 3. The game called after 8 innings due to darkness. And so let's give a quick recap of how this thrilling contest played out. Brookline started off with their first base hit of the season as Keenan Sawada led off with a single, and then a hit by pitch by Harrison Siegel put 2 men on with no outs, but then a double play and a strikeout ended the inning with no score for Brookline in the top of the first. Bottom of the first, Wellesley's first batter, O'Neill, reached on a throwing error, reached on an E6, stole second. A walk put runners at first and second, and then an RBI single by Palladino brought in O'Neill for the first run of the ball game. Wellesley went up 1-0, but starting pitcher Connor Jernigan managed to get out of the bases loaded jam with minimal damage, as no more runs were scored. Top of the second, Brookline went down in order. Bottom of the second, Wellesley, after 2 quick outs, O'Neill reached on another E6 and stole second again. And then Banish hit a fly ball out to center that was dropped, and O'Neill scored on the E8 to make it 2-0 Wellesley, before again Jernigan escaped the jam with minimal damage. Top of the third is when Brookline got its offense going. Nate Kessler with a leadoff single, Ben Doctoroff a sac bunt, Keenan Sawada his second single of the day. He stole second to put runners at second and third. Harrison Siegel came through with a big RBI single to put Brookline on the board. James Dialchand Erickson hit an RBI ground out to first, and as Kessler and Sawada both scored, they tied the game at 2 apiece. In the bottom of the third, as Hart took over for Jernigan for the start of an amazing pitching performance he had today. In the bottom of the third, Wellesley did put up a threat, a walk and a double, put runners at second and third with 1 out, but then a great throw from second to home by Keenan Sawada on a grounder prevented a run from scoring, and then Hart got out of the jam with a strikeout. Top of the fourth, Brookline went down in order again. Bottom of the fourth, Wellesley got a leadoff walk, and the guy advanced to second on a wild pitch, but other than that, they went down in order. Top of the fifth, Brookline went down in order again. In the bottom of the fifth, a leadoff single and a sac bunt put a runner at second with 1 out for Wellesley, but then 2 straight outs got Hart out of the jam again. Top of the sixth, Brookline got a 2-out single from Connor Jernigan, but they could not advance him any further. Bottom of the sixth, Wellesley got a 2-out walk, but that was it. Top of the seventh is when things started to get exciting again. Nico Hart led off the inning, reached on an E5. Leander Gosling came in as a pinch hitter and laid down a sac bunt. Nate Kessler either got a walk or a hit by pitch. I'm not sure which one it was. Doctoroff laid down another sac bunt, his second one of the day. And that put runners at second and third. And then after an intentional walk, a wild pitch allowed Hart to score the go-ahead run. Put Brookline up 3-2 before a flyout got Wellesley out of that jam. In the bottom of the seventh, after a ground out got the first out, a hit by pitch for Murphy, Redgate pinch ran and stole second after a couple of tries. Palladino hit a single up the middle, and it looked like Redgate was going to score the tying run, but he tripped on his way from third to home and got thrown out at home from center field on a nice throw by Harrison Siegel and a nice tag by Doctoroff. But then Liebenthal came up and reached on an E5. That allowed Palladino to score from second. And although Wellesley still managed to get runners on first and second after an intentional walk, a flyout ended the bottom of the seventh, sent the game to extras. Brookline got a runner to second on a two-out walk by Ryan Kravitz, and he advanced to second on a wild pitch, but got no further. In the bottom of the eighth, Charlie Engelman sent the Wellesley hitters down in order, and that was where the game ended as it was called. Wait, actually? And I've just been told this game is not over. Apparently they're going to finish tomorrow at 4:30, which I don't know what to do about that because I'm booked for another game tomorrow. And also, there's a chance it's going to rain tomorrow. So this has gone from ridiculous to something beyond ridiculous. Someone else find me a word. I've said enough words today. I don't know what to say after that. But yeah, apparently these two teams are going to be back here to try and wrap this thing up tomorrow back here at Sprague at 4:30. But for this one, that's going to wrap things up. I'm Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan. As always, if you enjoyed the live stream, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for all those who kept the good vibes going in the live chat. If there's anything else you'd like to say, you can say it in the comments section down below after the live stream is concluded. You can also go down below to the description section to find all the information you need about our local charity spotlight, the Brookline Community Foundation. Find out more about their scholarship fund for Brookline High School and their other great grants around the community and how you can help make a difference right here in Brookline. Also, check out the bottom right corner of your screen. You'll see the URL to my personal website, jessesports.com. Find out more about me, the freelance sportscasting services that I provide for various teams, and how you can commission those services for your favorite team. Below that, my email address, jgms88@gmail.com. Email me directly with any questions or requests you may have. And below that, the URL to my Instagram account, instagram.com/jgms88. Follow me on Instagram, where I post highlights from previous live streams. But for this live stream, that's going to do it. The not final score to be continued. I don't know. We're going to try and figure things out tonight. But Brookline 3, Wellesley 3 after 8 innings. Game postponed, called, whatever, due to darkness. From Sprague Field in Wellesley, Massachusetts, I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan. Thank you all for watching, and have a good night.